Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Rinpoche. Yes, I can hear you. Somehow I
Good
cannot
morning,
see you, but
Rinpoche. I can hear.
Oh, okay.
Rinpoche, I can see.
Okay. So my apologies today for the delay, and thank you for your patience.
Thầy xin lỗi là thầy hơi muộn một chút ạ. Cảm ơn sự kiên nhẫn của mọi người đã chờ đợi thầy.
Chanju pardo dane gyazo she dagi ye me zonam ye dola benje sanje robora sho sanje jena zoye chonam ba Chanju pardo dane gyazo she dagi ye me zonam dola benje sanje robora Mandala. Sa Xian Bei Ye Ye Me Lo Zhang Zhaba Ling Xie Ye Jian Ba Ye Dang Ye Xin Do Mi De Lo Ye Zhu Among Gu Ro Ran Men Zha Lang Gam Ji Yang Da Ra Yang Dang Ye Zhen Ji Ba 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 Me Wa Ye Cheba me wa da me ba wa me wa zhe me ba ta de tu men de ji men zhe ba ni xi xi de ba zo be sang ye ma nam ki tong ba de la zha te lu. Yes, please sit down.
Xin mọi người ngồi xuống.
Greetings, everyone, and please listen to the following teachings with the Mahayana motivation, that is to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So in order to attain enlightenment, we need to study, we need to practice, and in order to practice, we need to study what we have to practice. And in order to study, there are innumerable number of texts from the Buddhist point of view, and then from other traditions, non-Buddhist. So we will not go too deeply into this. So since we are all interested in the Buddha Dharma, so we will all be studying Buddhist text. And out of the Buddha's text, there are innumerable. There are the text by Buddha himself, the Kangyurs, and the commentaries by Indian great masters, as well as by Tibetan masters. And this is the book that we will be reading today for our practice is a book by a Tibetan master called Master Gampopa, a great practitioner as well as a scholar as well as practitioner himself. And his book, this particular book by Gampopa is known as the Precious Garland to the Path of Enlightenment. And so like a precious garland, if you have a garland made of gold or precious stone, then not the whole garland, but each piece of the bead, each bead of the garland will be very precious. Similarly, each sentences, each lines from this particular text that we will be reading are very precious. And so keeping this in mind, we will delve into today's topic. Today's topic is something called the 10 things one should not give up. So out of the 10 things that one should not be giving up, 10 non-abandonments or 10 things not to give up. So we have covered 2 of them last week. But we will go very briefly today once more. The first one is compassion, which is the very heart, the very essence of Dharma practice, and the very essence of serving people. So in order to, the reason we are concerned for others, the reason we work for others, the reason we are concerned for others is because due to compassion. And without compassion, if we have no compassion for others, then no matter what happens around the world, we will not be concerned, whether it's a small world such as in your home, or in a bigger world such as in the nation, in the nation, or in the international scene, for caring or concerning for some other countries or your own country, or just within your family, for your society, for all of that. All of this comes from the concern for others comes from bodhicitta. Compassion. It all comes from compassion. So compassion is vital, is very important, and that is why compassion should not be given up. That is the first thing. And the second is the appearance. One should not give up the appearance because that is the reflection of the mind. That is the radiance of the mind. So the line says one should not give up the appearance. So normally when we talk about Dharma practices, we always say, okay, don't rely on the appearance, don't rely on the appearance, right? So appearance, or the appearance is the form factor, what we see. What we see and what we really get, there may be a huge difference, huge gap. So appearance may not be the real thing, but still, that is the only way to get to the real thing for us. So therefore, we would need the appearance. So appearance is not the reality. Appearance can be misleading, but at the same time, without that force, the appearance, we will not be able to get to the reality. So therefore, but when we delve into the reality, when we delve into the appearance, we must be aware that what we are delving into is an appearance and not reality. So one example would be the screen that is in front of you, in which within the screen you see my image. So without that screen, which is streaming the image of Tongkhor Rinpoche, and also streaming my sound through the portal, through the internet towards you. So what you see on the screen is appearance. It's not the real thing. It's it's a false. It's an illusion. Just like the appearance, it is not the real thing. But without that appearance, which is not the real thing, without that illusion, you will not be able to hear me or be able to listen to the teachings. So therefore, you will need the appearance. You will need this image, which is not the real me. But if you think that the image in front of you is the real me, then that is a mistake too. So therefore, the appearance is necessary, just like the image in front of you on the TV screen, on the mobile screen, on the TV screen, on whatever medium that you have in front of you. So the image you see in front of yourself is just like the appearance. You will need them. You should not abandon them. But at the same time, if you think this is the real thing, then that is the mistake. Oh yeah. So that is last week's teaching. So now from today, so before I begin today's topic, a small reminder that you can, so I will speak about 1 hour. Then you can ask questions from the text or some other, if you have any other question, is also you're welcome to ask. So questions are welcome. So you can take a note and send it through the messages or just ask them directly. So today's topic starts from topic number so today's 10 sets of things, 10 things that one should not be giving up. So we start from the topic number 3, and the topic number 3 is that one should not give up conceptual thoughts, because conceptual thoughts are the transitory wave of the mind, of the reality, of the reality. So therefore, they should not be given up. They should not be abandoned. So from the line, I'll read from the text. It says, all thoughts are the transitory reflections of the Dharmata, so they must not be abandoned. So here it says thought, but thought can be can have a number of meanings. Even though thought is a good translation, but normally we use the word for a namtok. Here it says in Tibetan namtok, and namtok it means conceptual thought. So it's the conceptual thought is it's a conception, meaning you think it over in your mind. So it is not a direct perception. So if you see me in front of you, and like for example, when I'm in front of you, you can see me, and then that is direct perception. Whatever is in front of you, you can perceive them directly. That is direct perception. A thought is something different. The thought comes after the direct perception. So you see me with your eyes or your eyesight, and after that, either you close your eyes or maybe with your eyes open, at the back of your heart, at the back of your head, you are thinking of the clothes that I'm wearing or the way I'm speaking and so on and so forth. So which is it's a conception that you create in your mind. So the conception that you create of me at the back of your head is not the real side of me. So this is the conceptual thoughts. So back in the day, there has been a number of philosophers, I think predominantly China, or there has been, so nowadays it's very popular in the Zen tradition in Japan. So that one should not give into the conceptual thoughts. Conceptual thoughts are bad. Conceptual thoughts are not necessarily bad things, but conceptual thought is like a cloud. So a cloud, whether it's black, dark cloud, or it's a white cloud, so meaning good thought or bad thought, both can cloud. Both can cover, both can hide the sun. So if it's a white cloud, it can conceal, hide the sunlight. If it's a dark cloud, it can also hide or conceal the sunlight. Similarly, if you have a conceptual thought, if you have a conception, the conceptual thought, when you are thinking of something, you are not seeing something at the same time. Thinking of something and seeing something with your direct perception at the same time is not possible. So in order to see something directly, so by seeing, it doesn't necessarily have to be through eyesight, but if you see something directly, if you perceive something directly, or if you perceiving something directly or conceptualizing about something, are two totally different functions of the mind. So therefore, especially in the Zen tradition, this is abhorred, the conceptual thought. So whatever thought arises, you should destroy the thought. Whatever thought arises, any thought comes up, just get rid of that. Or in some of the variations of this particular teaching, some teachings say, okay, don't destroy the thought, don't get rid of the thought, but just don't pay any attention to the thought. Just let it be. So there was a sort of like a Zen examples, Zen sayings are, the Zen quotes are very wise and also very thought-provoking, right? So there was a particular Zen sort of quote which says, whether good thought or a bad thought, whatever thought comes, good thought or bad thought, just let them come. And just like you have a guest, whether it's a good guest or a bad guest, no matter, just let them come. But so let them come in the front door, and then let them leave through the back door. So the quote is saying, the quote was, whatever thought arises, whether it's good or bad, let them come. Just don't serve them tea. So don't receive them, or don't respond to the thought. Don't respond to the thought which is either positive or negative. So this is a very popular tradition. This is a very popular philosophy, very enlivening teaching. Enlivening tradition back in those days, and even today's time. The Zen tradition is pretty much similar to this, and that all thoughts should be abandoned. No thoughts, whether it's a good thought or a bad thought, when you are meditating, get rid of all thoughts. Or another version is, when you are meditating, whatever thoughts come, don't pay attention to the thoughts. Just let it be. Just let your mind stay in its natural state. So that was the teaching. But in this particular teaching, actually in the Buddhist teaching, it is a little bit different. In Buddhist teaching, we need the white cloud. We need to, even though the white cloud can also hide the sun, we need the white cloud for now. So the conceptual thought is necessary for the moment. And without conceptual thought, without thought, we cannot have. Without thought, we cannot conceptualize compassion, bodhicitta, and the understanding of emptiness. In order to understand emptiness, in order to understand compassion, we need to recollect our memory of what our teachers taught about compassion, about emptiness, and so on and so forth. And in order to recollect them, in order to recollect the memories, we need to conceptualize. We need the thought, because memory is, after all, a thought, is a conception. Memory is not direct perception. So what you have in memory is something that happened in the past. So it is not something that is happening right now. Whatever you are remembering, whatever you are recollecting from your memory is something that has happened in the past. So it is not something that is happening right now. It is not something that you are perceiving directly. So it is like watching a recorded film. So therefore, we need to keep our conceptual thoughts, because in order to achieve our goal, our purpose, which is to attain enlightenment, which is to free ourselves from samsara. In order to do that, we need to recollect our understanding of the eightfold noble eightfold path, the six perfections, the 37 practices of the Bodhisattva, then so like that, compassion, each instructions that you receive from your master. We need all of that. So therefore, in the Buddhist tradition, we need the conceptual thought. We have to keep them. It is not something we should be giving up. Ultimately, yes, but for now we need them.
Okay, Rinpoche.
Oh, so this has been pretty long, so I'll make it short. So the fourth one, next one, which is the fourth one. The fourth one is called is the fourth thing not to be given up is afflictive emotions, negative emotions. So this can seem a little bit puzzling. This can seem a little bit contradictory because we want to give up, we want to abandon, we want to get rid of negative emotions, because negative emotions is the reason why we are in samsara and why we are having all the trouble. So if we don't have the negative emotions, if we give up, then that is the best thing. We don't need them, one might say. But what it's saying here is the teaching, the book does not say give up. The book doesn't say do not get rid of the negative emotions. It says don't give up on negative emotions. So the reason one should not be giving up on negative emotions is because negative emotions are the indicator. The negative emotions are a reminder, a perfect reminder, a perfect indicator of for directions in which we should be heading in our practice. In our practice, especially to develop the primordial wisdom. So negative emotions are the indicator, like a compass, showing us the direction in which we should be heading, in which we should be directing the in which we should position our primordial wisdom, in which we should be honing our intelligence. So the lines is defilement. Okay, the fourth line is defilements are instrumental of cultivating wisdom, so they must not be abandoned. And in Tibetan, so we will get into this. Just as I mentioned earlier, negative emotions we don't want. But here it says don't give up negative emotions. But we don't want negative emotions. We should be giving up negative emotions. So what is the contradiction here? What is the puzzle here? What is the confusion here? So the thing is, we don't want pain. We don't want suffering. We don't want pain. And negative emotions are just like pain. We don't want pain. But pain is a indicator for something that is not going well, something that is not doing well within our body. So you have pain, you have back pain, meaning there is some misalignment in your backbone. So you have to, when you have the pain, you know there is something wrong with your back. When you have a back pain, back ache, you know there is something wrong with your backbone, and you check it with the doctor. You go to a chiropractor and try to sort it out. You have migraine, you have a headache, and then if it's just once in a while, then you can have minor medication. If it happens all the time, then you can go to a medical doctor and check it out. So when there is a pain indicates, tells us there is an urgent need. There is an urgent need for the person who is in pain to look after something more serious. The pain is only on the surface, but where does that pain come from? Something really seriously wrong within your body, on your hand, inside your body, at your back, wherever. Just like that, the afflictive emotions are the indicator for something very wrong within yourself. If there is no pain, if your back is failing, if you have if your backbones are misaligned, but you don't feel the pain at your back, then you will ignore it for a long time. And then one day your back will fail altogether. And you have no idea how that happened. And you have no way to explain it. You have no idea because you never felt the pain, so you never check it out. That's why it's called asymptomatic in medical terms. Asymptomatic. So when there is no symptom of the pain or this illness that you are going through, it's very difficult to diagnose it. You will not be able to diagnose it. Well, at least just by yourself. Without medical help, you will not be able to diagnose it. And then, you might be going through some serious thing. So negative emotions actually help us diagnose the serious illnesses that we have within ourselves. So therefore, negative emotions should not be ignored, should not be abandoned. Of course, it should be removed, but if we abandon them, if we ignore them, then we will not be able to remove them. So in order to remove them, we need to pay attention to the negative emotions. So in order to pay attention to our negative emotions, we must not abandon them. We must take care, pay attention, and pay heed. Take care of our mind-body health through the negative emotions, through the indication of our negative emotions. So negative emotions are the indicator for a deeper malady, deeper illness, deeper sickness that is within us. So therefore, negative emotions are not to be abandoned. Oh yeah. So the next, the number 5. So the whole teaching here. So I would like to bring you into the very context of the teaching. So one needs to understand that this is a Mahayana text. This is a Mahayana text. And it differs, even though most of the Mahayana and the non-Mahayana teachings, there are a lot of similarities. But when it comes to practices, certain practices, Mahayana and non-Mahayana practices, there's a huge gap. And the gap actually comes in this particular practice, the 10 practices, the 10 things that one should not give up. This is the this is the intersection. This is the crossroad where it differs from the non-Mahayana tradition. So the first one, which is compassion, there is no argument here. Both Mahayana and non-Mahayana will say, okay, compassion is important. But after that, for example, the second one, which is to the appearance, one should give up or not give up. In non-Mahayana, give up. And thought, the conceptual thought, give up or not give up. In a number of non-Mahayana tradition, they will say give up. Similarly, negative emotions, give up or not give up. Oh, certainly, negative emotion is the real enemy here, so we should give them up. And most importantly, the next topic, which is the number 5, give up or not give up. The desire, give up or not give up. So actually, the translation may be a little bit off here. I think it says desire, right? No, okay, desirable objects. Yeah, that is the right translation. So objects of desire, objects of desire. Let's say wealth, money, and this and that. So in the non-Mahayana tradition, so we are to keep the minimum and then get rid of everything extra, excessiveness, because that will distract us. And so we have to give up a lot of things in the non-Mahayana tradition. So you will see, if you look in the number of non-Mahayana practices, like Theravada, for example, you will see the monks are very simple, and you know, the clothing, the apparels they have is very simple, and then they have very and also the Buddha is also the Buddha also appears in the monastic robes alone. So there is no ornament or no elaboration here. But then you come to the Mahayana tradition, then you will see the Buddhas wearing, let's say, the robes made from brocade, the expensive silk, and some other things. You will see some ornaments here and there. And then you go much more deeper into the Mahayana tradition, which is the Vajrayana tradition. Then you will see the Buddha having the crown, like the king, which is in direct contradiction with the non-Mahayana the tradition, like Theravada, for example, because the Buddha was a prince and was a royal, was a prince of a king, but he gave up everything that is royal, and he became a simple monk. That is according to the legend, and that is what the Theravadan tradition and all the non-Mahayana Buddhists, accept. But when the Buddha comes when the Buddha appears in the Mahayana tradition, it's a little bit different. So then he comes into the Vajrayana tradition. It's much more elaborate, and then you will see the Buddha also appearing in a royal attire, king's clothing, and so on and so forth. So what it tells here, so this is the difference between Mahayana and non-Mahayana. Well, this is not the only difference, but one of the main difference that comes between Mahayana and non-Mahayana practices. So in non-Mahayana practices, you have to reduce, remove, give up a number of things in order to practice, in order to reach the path of enlightenment. So that is the perfect path. That is the perfect practice. That is the perfect tradition for you to take, if that is what you like to do. If you want to give up, if you want to let go of a number of things, if you can develop wisdom only by giving up those things, and that is the path for you, then you should take non-Mahayana tradition, the non-Mahayana lineage, like the Theravada and so on and so forth. Theravada is one of the 18 different non-Mahayana the lineages, so it's not the only one. So nowadays people say Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, but it's not so true. Earlier we used to say Hinayana, but that is a derogative term, so we don't use it anymore. But Theravada is just one of the 18 different traditions, non-Mahayana traditions. So let's say non-Mahayana and Mahayana. And and within Mahayana, you have the Sutra and the Tantra, which is Vajrayana. So now in the non-Mahayana tradition, if you are someone who likes to, in order to practice, you want to give up everything. So the less, if you are, let's say, this is the thing. If you have so many things around you, you feel distracted, then what do? So we do that in school, right? In our classroom, in our college time, when we go for when we stay in our college room, if we want to study well, we remove all the distraction, we remove all the magazines and so on and so forth, and then all the electronic devices. Then we just put a few books in front of our table, and then just focus on the book, the study book alone. And then we can develop our educational, our learning skills. That is one way. But some people doesn't really care. Some people like to play music. Some people, when they can walk better, they can study better when there is a music going on. So there is a number of people, myself included. I love to play. I love to study with the music. No songs, no lyrical songs, without any word, but just music, like classical music played in the background. Then I can study better. So there are different people. Some people like to play rock music. Some people like to play classical music when they're studying. Some people say music during study. Oh, no way at all, because that would distract you. If I play song during my study, I will not be able to study. So like that. The Mahayana tradition actually, so it doesn't say if you don't have a music, you don't have to play the music if you don't have it. If you have a music, you don't have to give it up. So in the Mahayana tradition, whatever objects of desire that you have, you can take all of that into your practice. If you have a music playing, just accept the music as a part of the nature. Don't brush it off, and just it is there. You cannot remove it. Just don't worry about it. Just don't pay attention to it. Just let it play in the background, and then you do your study. If there is so whatever objects of desire, whatever distraction is there, just don't give it. Just don't give in to them. Let it be there. You don't have to remove them. You can study. You can do your practices perfectly. So the Mahayana tradition is all about taking all the distractions, taking all the flaws, taking all the broken things that is in your environment, and taking all of them into your practice. You don't have to give up things that does not suit your practices. In Mahayana tradition, everything suits your practices. So therefore, the objects of desire, which we normally say, oh, this is a distraction for a Dharma practitioner, this is a distraction for a monk, this is a distraction for a spiritual seeker. In Mahayana tradition, we don't say that. We take everything that is around us for our practice. Because this is real. This is real. It is really out there, whatever distractive thing. Some music playing on, some beautiful picture, some whatever it is there. You accept them. You accept it as what it is, and then you just go on with it. So this is the Mahayana approach. Oh yeah. So just like the example I used, for some students, they like to play some music to study better, to focus well. Some people, some students do not want any distraction, any noises, and some students would like to play very loud music, like rock rock music and so on and so forth. Some people like classical music to play when studying, and some people like no music at all during study. So similarly, it depends on what kind of what adheres to your um, what kind of environment, what kind of spiritual environment, what kind of spiritual tradition, what kind of spiritual environment fits you. If you want to take in all the distraction that you have and take those things into your practices, then you can practice the Mahayana tradition. And Mahayana tradition also has some limitations. And if you want to, and if you are able to, if you feel like you have the ability to take in all the obstacles, all the disturbances, all the distractions, and still persevere to become a good practitioner, then you can go for Vajrayana practices, right? Vajrayana practices, in which everything, good or bad, negative or evil, everything you take into your practices and then turn them into something good. So it's like you have lots of powerful enemies, and in order to fight powerful enemies, you have to have the ability, and you have to have the confidence in yourself. And if you can fight often, if you can get rid of, if you can take over a powerful enemy, then you will become more powerful. The more powerful enemies you take, the more powerful you will become. Similarly, in the Vajrayana practices, you take on more and more obstacles, more and more disturbances, and then you know. But in order to do that, it is not just the instruction of the teacher, it's not just the teaching itself, but it's yourself. Whether what kind of people are you? What kind of practitioner are you? Are you someone who needs to reduce everything, minimize, and focus without study without any music? Or are you someone who study with classical music? Or are you someone who can study, who actually enjoys studying with maybe some rock music and a lot of commentaries, or some podcast going on in the background? You can still study. So it depends what kind of practitioner you are, what kind of student you are. And depending on that, you can practice Vajrayana, which is what we call unique or uncommon Mahayana, or you can do general Mahayana practices, or you can go for non-Mahayana practices. So it all depends on you. So don't go for Vajrayana practices because a number of people say, oh, this is the best or supreme practice, or so on and so forth. So His Holiness says that a number of times, and also Lama Tsongkhapa said that the practice themselves are neither superior or inferior. It is the practitioner himself who will make the teaching, the practice, superior or inferior. If you are incapable of handling a very profound teaching, then if you do the practice, you will fail miserably, and then you will be at the rock bottom. Instead of going slowly, stepping one step, or instead of going one step at a time, you will fall to the bottom, and you have to go from zero. You will start from number one. But if you have the ability, if you are capable, and if you take the slower route, that is also a bad thing. If you have the capability, then you should take the faster route. So, so this is like taking a shortcut or a main road. The main road is safe, so it is very safe. It has the the grid. So the cars driving on the left, and there's a car driving, there's car coming in front of you on the right side or the left side. So the two directions, one is going one side and the other is going the other side, and there is a grid, so you are very safe. You will not fall down. There will be less accidents. There will be less car accidents because there's a lot of grid. There is a lot of railing. But the problem with the main road is it will take a lot of time because everyone wants to be on the safe side. But if you are not capable, then you should be on the safe side. But if you know the road well, and if you can drive well, and if you have a very good car, if you have a sturdy car, sturdy, strong car, then maybe you don't have to take the main road. You can take a shortcut. The shortcut is really bumpy. It's bumpy. It's not easy. So Mahayana practices are not easy. Tantric practices are not easy. But if you take it, then it is the faster route. So that is the explanation. So I will stop here for today's teaching. And if you have no further questions, we can continue. Or if you have questions, then you can ask the questions. So questions, please.
Rinpoche, I have
Yes,
one question. Yes.
please.
I remember the last week when you teach about the understanding of the illusion, and you came the upline, and we should not give up the illusion because we can use the illusion to the enlightenment. And you said that you give an example to compare. That one example is that we see all the facts, and we can entertain the movie, the interesting movie, and the one example that's the real fact when we see and we hear on the television. So and with the movie we can understand and we can entertain. But with the facts, real facts on the television, we can't not entertain because we consider it as real. And the question is that how can we consider and how can we change our mind to the way that we can see all the facts on the life, life that we can see we can entertain the movie. How we can change our minds towards that, because we can consider all the changing of our lives and all the events on our lives as lives that we can entertain the movie.
Right. Okay. Thank you for the question. So how we change them? So the thing is that we need to see the reality of all phenomena, so the ultimate reality, as we call it, the ultimate reality, the real face, or the real truth, if you like, of all phenomena is that nothing exists, nothing arises, nothing is there by itself, nothing appears on its own, nothing is there just by its own choice. Everything comes through dependence upon some other factors. So a huge number of things that we see in life are actually dependent upon good news or bad news, or good things or bad things. Most of them are actually dependent upon other factors. So it is not just one key factor that actually made all the good things or all the bad things. It is actually a build up. It is actually a build up of a motion of things, a number of things happening together, happening one by one. When they are all formed together, we see the effect. When all the causes and conditions form together, then we see the effect coming up. And usually we think the effect is there by itself. So what we need to do is that we have to see the reality in the sense that all these things, all the appearances, everything that we see, everything that we experience as are not ultimately true, but are actually made up from our conception. We conceive them as what they are, and because we have not practiced well enough into the idea of emptiness, We always think that things do exist from its own side. Things exist intrinsically or inherent existence. Things are ultimately out there, but actually it's our own conception which makes things real. For example, if you, okay, let's say there's a what do you call that? Earthquake. If there is an earthquake going on, or there is some fight going on outside your house, but if you don't know that there is a fight going on outside your house, then the whatever fight, whatever struggle that is going outside your house does not exist for you because you are not aware of it. So whatever is happening, it's happening out there without your involvement in it, and it doesn't. It is happening generally. In a sense, it's happening, but to you, it's not happening because it doesn't exist for you because you are not aware of it. So similarly, our things come into existence in our world when we perceive them. So when you start to look at me, you see me. So when you start hearing and when you start looking at my picture, then Tongkhor Rinpoche talking, speaking becomes a reality, becomes an existential thing for you. If you do not look, if you do not see, and if you do not hear anything what I'm saying or anything what I'm doing here, then even if I'm speaking, my speech and my image will not be existential thing, will not be available for you. So when we say this is it, or this is good, or this is bad, when we say this is yellow, when we say this is a monk, or this is a lady, or this is good, or this is bad, what we are actually saying is, I think this is yellow, I think this is good, I think that is bad. And when a whole like a whole society or whole country agrees that something is good or bad, what they're actually saying is, we think as a community, we think as a collective, we think as a society that this is good, this is bad. That is why in different countries there are different laws. So some people think this is good, like, in Islamic countries, they have their Sharia law. So the Islamic people, they believe this is the right thing to do. And then they make that law, and according to those people, this is the right thing to do. So whatever we say, when we say this is right or that is wrong, we are actually not saying what is right or what is wrong. We are only saying, I think this is right and that is wrong, which means I perceive this is right and that is wrong. So whatever statement we make in this life, whatever statement we make in the world, we are actually not stating the truth itself. We are actually stating our version of the truth, how we perceive the truth. So therefore, everything out there is actually not out there. Everything out there has been projected from our mind to the outside world. And then we see them. So it's like the projections of a movie in a movie theater. When we are watching a movie, we feel like the movie, everything is happening out there on the screen. But actually it's happening in the projector mirror, which is projecting the image from the projector to the screen out there. All the things that is happening, all the movements and all the songs play, all the fights happening, everything that is being played on the screen, it's not actually there in the screen. It was actually captured in the video camera and then played through the projector. So it comes from the projector, from here to there. It's displayed on the screen. It is not on the screen. It is displayed on the screen through the projector or from the projector. So, so the fundamental thing here is that it is all our projection. We are projecting things. So is that a reality? Yes. And the reality that we perceive is the reality that we project. The reality that we perceive is the reality that we project. There is no ultimate reality. Okay? So the things we see in the movies is the projection from the projector. It is not because there is something really out there on the screen. There's nothing on the screen. It's just whiteboard. We project different stories, different videos on the white screen, and then it's all displayed there. So that is the thing. So I stop here.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah. Okay. So I stop here. Do we need to translate that? I don't think, right? So you got it.
Yes.
Maybe you can just translate briefly, and then we stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the key points. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thank you. So let's dedicate. Yeah. So let's do our dedication. So let's dedicate the marriage that we have gained today to attain enlightenment for all the sentient beings, and that all of us will gain the wisdom to remove our ignorance of the reality, ignorance of the ultimate reality, which is that all phenomena has a dependent originating, that nothing, all phenomena are empty of having an inherent existence. And then this is the ultimate reality. And then the conventional reality. Conventional reality is the everyday realities that we face. So let us all have through the marriage that we have gained today, may we all have the wisdom to distinguish, to discern, to discriminate between right and wrong in the ultimate sense as well as in the conventional sense. Chanjo semjo remo che ma ye banang ye yoro che ge wa nyamba me wara yang konya kondo be wara sho tonye tawa rembo che ma ye banang ge yoro che ge wa nyamba me konya kondo be wara sho pende jone temba tajin ge tenzen ge bo tamje bo hamsan lu je gwen la de ye jongwen san ye temba da do ye yo Thank you. Come on.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.